Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you're watching around the world, or indeed the country, to Monaco. This is Apex Rear Wings live stage, and it's the Route de Turini Descenté, I should say.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is
not what
correct.
it says on the screen. Anyway, there's an elevation change of minus 265 metres. Minus because it is, as the name of the stage suggests, a descent. My name's Stairs. As always, I'm joined in the commentary box by Madbird.
Yes, indeed. We're here for stage number 2 of the Monaco stages. First stage produced some interesting results. Zeros, of course, wasn't a surprise, being as he was in the lead, but Nether and Mono and Stairs a surprise fourth place in the first stage.
Yes, his car being taken over by Keeno in this stage. So Keeno actually, as far as I'm concerned here, he takes over the time that Stairs did in the first stage. So
That's correct, yeah.
That's good for Keeno that he's been placed somewhat in the mix there, only 5 seconds adrift of our leader, and a lot of people there, sort of a gaggle of drivers between 4 and 5 and 6 seconds, and Jorg's not too far off in sixth place there. Yeah. You haven't put the numbers
I
there.
should put numbers there, but that is indeed my bad. So those are the results from the previous stage, but we'll hasten onwards, and of course we can't have a Monaco live stage, Stairs, without speaking to our rally expert.
Our resident rally expert.
Here he is. You look a little bit different from how we previously saw you, Robert. Robert, how the bloody hell are you, mate? You're in work for 2 months in a row now. This must be fantastic for you.
Oh, it's absolutely marvellous. I actually forgot about it today, so I'm still on the way in, on the way to the start of the stage, so Forgive me for that. But, you know, it took a long time to get into my pants this morning.
Fair enough. I occasionally have that problem myself, but it's usually after...
Yeah, more legs, you see.
More legs? Ah, yes, of course. I see what you're doing there. So, second stage, Robert, it's a quick blast along some tarmac, not much ice or snow. So, who do you think is going to have the upper hand here on this quite straightforward racing stage?
Oh, I mean, I don't know about the straightforward. It is downhill, and if you miss any of those corners, you're going directly down to your doom. And I think the fear of God will be struck in between the eyes of every competitor tonight. Or today, I should say. It is the part of the day where the sun is out. Daylight spreads its glorious rays upon the earth.
Fantastic. So, thanks for that non-answer, Robert. Great.
Just my pleasure.
Greatly appreciate it. I guess that's all we're going to need from Robert today. As usual, some excellent insight there from our rally expert, and I do use the word expert with as many quotes as I can verbally put around it as humanly possible.
But we'll let that one go through to the keeper then, shall we? I think the less said about that, the better. Now, Goofball's car's in a little bit of a state after what he did to it in the first part of the first stage, and hasn't actually had time to get the thing completely repaired. He did borrow it, actually, from Stairs, and Stairs is probably regretting that at this stage because he's forgotten which way the first corner goes.
Yeah, indeed. He's already gotten
penalty.
a 15-second penalty, so I'm not sure what that was. Maybe
Must have been hitting a spectator.
Yeah, clipped a spectator or something. And something we do need to mention is that there seemed to be some sort of strange loophole in the Stairs and Goofball deal where Goofball unfortunately got first dibs on Stairs' backup car, and so Stairs' teammate Keeno will actually be driving the Citroen C4 in this stage because they weren't able to source an additional Ford Focus.
It's very bad luck for Stairs and his team. They've really things have not gone their way.
They really should have read the small print, I'd say.
Yeah, I think their generosity has been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But the sun is shining on this day, and Goofball makes it around that corner without hitting the wall.
That's fantastic. He's already missing a a wing from his car. I'm not sure if that 15-second penalty thing that just popped up is correct. That might be a graphical error. Let's ignore that.
We'll
for the
wait
time
and
being.
see. We'll wait and see. But nonetheless, there isn't much snow, or any snow actually, this part of the stage. So it does make a difference to the conditions that they had to deal with in the first stage, where there was ice and snow. Just a little bit of dampness you can see, as it did rain overnight, and a bit of the tunnel providing a bit of a surprise there for Goofball, trying to get the thing turned around, and finally does so. Now this is providing many challenges for the young Australian, as Securitron, the young Scot, gets his stage underway.
As we discussed, good friend of Billy Connolly's son, the acclaimed what's the one where you shake? Parkinson's disease researcher. But Shake it up.
But Goofball is the man we're focusing on at the moment. We'll switch our attention to Securitron once Goofball finishes the stage, which may well be some time before that happens, given the way that he's managing to spin the car around during the has to be said, it's not as straight as it looks from the helicopter shot, Madbird. So he's dead. No, he's still alive. He's got the thing up and running. Those walls are treacherous, Madbird.
They are. They've got those little. It's like crenellated, sort of like castle turret walls. If you manage to hook your bonnet, your front corner of the car into one of those holes as he crosses the line with a 301.5. So actually, not too bad. Possibly, I'm not sure what the other times are going to look like.
A bit more brutal than the French taunters that those turrets would have been protecting, or protecting in terms of, well, they're not French, they would have been Monegasque, but, borders change over the centuries. We'll let that one go through to the keeper.
Absolutely.
to reuse a statement that I've used far too often already. But Securitron doing a nice job so far, and 7 seconds up on Goofball's first intermediate time.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a standard sort of just put your foot down and go as fast as you can sort of stage. There's not any snow or ice to speak of, as you said, so it'll suit the drivers that are a bit more familiar with circuit racing, I think, over the rally drivers who are more used to flick at the back out and slippery surfaces like gravel and snow.
It has to be said, hasn't really helped Goofball, but nonetheless, Desamaj now making his way onto the road, and he's a driver who we've seen in previous stages been very, very aggressive, sawing at the wheel like nobody's business. And I wonder if that aggressive style will help him, given the change in conditions that you just mentioned.
It didn't help him in the first stage. He was a little bit all over the shop. But you never know. He might just pull his head in a little bit for this second stage and go, I've got to drive within myself a tiny bit. Securitron crossing line with a 26.9 seconds ahead of Goofball. So that time plummeting very quickly as we join Desamaj at a slightly hairy moment.
It's a short stage, so it doesn't take too long to traverse. Or not traverse, because traverse suggests that you're not losing altitude, where here you can see very much from that onboard camera angle of James's that you are indeed losing quite a lot of altitude. Desamaj very, very aggressively attacking this stage, and I have a feeling that's going to pay him dividends if he doesn't come unstuck, which so far he hasn't. Very close to, when we caught the start of the shot, he was brushing the side of the wall there, and we know that can be very, very dangerous, as we've seen Goofball come a cropper there. A bit of an early turn in there, cut the inside. We're waiting for the split. There it is. He's the fastest man by nearly 5 seconds, is Desamaj.
Yeah, and he's just scraping a couple of walls, and hasn't cost him anything yet.
That'll cost him.
That might cost him a couple of tenths, and we just see the back of his car disappearing around that cliff face as he flicks the back out. He's certainly not a driver that you would say is lacking in courage, Stairs.
Yeah, he has the Finnish sisu, as they call it, the Finnish courage, which is not to be confused with the Dutch courage, and sliding nicely around these stages. Has to be said, the best man through the tunnel so far has been Securitron, because Goofball had a spin there. We saw Desamaj brush the wall and wiped off a fair bit of his speed, so it'll be interesting to see what difference that has made to the times as Yorgs has now got himself underway, and as we're tracking Desamash through the final part of the stage, it's sort of fallen apart a little bit for him.
Yeah, it looked as if he got a little bit rocky coming off the wall. Still 5.5 seconds or thereabouts up on Securitron, so he didn't lose too much time, but I don't think that'll be enough to get him up amongst the front runners. Yorgs, of course, would be wanting to get up there himself in the first Citroen of the stage. And talking about that tunnel, it's sort of it takes you by surprise a little bit, because it's a sort of sharp left-hander, and then suddenly you're in pitch black for a split second as the tunnel engulfs you. And I think for drivers who weren't paying attention on their recce runs and just thought, oh yeah, left-hand corner into a tunnel, they'll be taken by surprise a little bit doing it at stage pace.
The eyes have to adjust, the pupils have to dilate to let more light, I should say. Light is what goes onto the back of the retinas and allows the eyes to see, and then that's transformed into information for the brain, which then transforms that information into inputs into the accelerator, clutch, and brake pedals, not to mention the steering wheel, as Yorgs makes his way through one of the most technical parts of the section. Here comes the tunnel. Let's see how he manages it. And he's done not a bad job there. Not a bad job at all.
Quite well. As you were talking about, as you were explaining the optical mechanisms of the body, Yorgs went through the sector split about 5 seconds down, which would have put him just slightly behind Securitron. So
that storied rivalry between the two continues.
Very big rivalries. Madbird kicks off his stage 2 there in the bottom right corner, but Yorgs quickly coming towards the end of the stage. As you say, the helicopter shot makes this look a lot easier than it is. It's foot to the floor.
It straightens out the bends, Madbird. It straightens out the bends.
It does. You're basically full bore, like pedal to the metal this entire section, with a lot of very slight corners over elevation changes, and it can catch you out very easily. So Yorgs has done quite well there to negotiate it.
I reckon Yorgs has done a better job than Desamash there, but it hasn't shown on the timing screen because he is 3 seconds adrift of Securitron. That'll be bitterly disappointing for old mate Yorgs as we join the young Norwegian Madbird making his way around that very abrupt hairpin. The rock face on the inside of that is just spectacular.
Yeah, it's one of God's beautiful pieces of work, that one.
God wasn't drunk that night.
Nope, he procedurally generated the rest of Monaco. Just bumped up the mountains slider.
His deadline was fast approaching. He said, "Mate, I want to get Sunday off for this one."
But he saw that outcropping. He's like, I'm going to go in with a fine-tooth comb and do this myself. Madbird 2 and a bit seconds down on Desamash. So as he takes out that sign.
Yeah, well, we saw Desamash cut that corner, but Madbird similarly so. I think that would have been marginally quicker. He needs to find a bit of time here, but I think what will play into Madbird's hands here is that Desamash was quite messy through that final sector. So what can Madbird do through this final bit, this very challenging, fast section of road?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. He's got a few scrapes there on the side of his car, so he's possibly had a few dramas earlier on the stage that we haven't seen. It's quite a short stage, as we keep saying, so we don't miss too much.
He's throwing it about, and the young Russian now, we've mentioned him before, taking over Stairs' drive in a different car, albeit. Yeah. And the Citroen's all they could manage to get their hands on, starting his stage, David Keeno.
Yeah, it's actually, well, we'll talk about it when we get to him. Madbird
coming to the end of his stage.
Yeah, nearly there, about 10 seconds or thereabouts. He is approaching the end. A lot of people seem to be caught out by that corner, just a little brush on the wall by the looks of it.
And it's not going to get top. He's going to drop behind Desamash, and what a messy finish. Only 1.6 seconds. That is just achingly close to the top. So he goes into second, and Desamash can breathe a sigh of relief as we rejoin David Keeno.
Yeah, and some very quick negotiations on the Keeno and Stairs team's part. They've managed to somehow secure Sebastian Loeb's Citroen for this stage. So, as much as they would have liked to get another Ford Focus, I imagine they're not going to be too upset about having a rally champion Citroen under their asses. And so far he seems to be doing quite well. Does a lot of dirt hill climb in his off periods. Does Keeno? So
this is real life we're talking about.
Exactly.
Real life experience may well come to the fore. Let's see what he can do in the sector split. He's not completely out of the running there, and considering that car is, I'd say, a little bit down on power on the Focus that the other guys are running. That is right up there.
It is. Those are some beautiful hairpins he just did then. Absolutely stunning. He takes the tunnel, no problems, no brushing the wall and losing his wing there. As he's approaching the end of the stage already, about 40 seconds to go. It's gone in the blink of an eye, Stairs. You blink and you miss half the stage.
It is a seamless cloth. You cannot see the seams. The sewing is impeccable, but David Keene, as he approaches the 2-minute mark, now it's Mono starting his stage in, has to be said, sponsorless car of the blue Ford Focus, and it takes you back to the days of old. Keene's had an issue there, and that is really, really going to hurt, because this is such a momentum focused part of the stage, and just brushing the wall there can cost you time all the way through.
Yeah, he just ground along the wall that little bit,
and again he's going to drop. It's not going to be second. He slots in ahead of Securitron, and David Keene will be third, and Mono is on a charge, man.
He is. That was a very hairy moment we joined him at, just cutting through that little almost chicane, just weight transferring the car, managing not to hit the walls. It was terrifying to watch, and I reckon Keeno would have been good on for second there if he hadn't had those dramas in the last sort of run, but oh well, Madbird will be happy sitting there in second. Desamaj, after I...
That was an issue for Mono. I called it last time out. He was the Usain Bolt of hairpins in the previous round, but I think he's going to be the Elena Stambolova of hitting the walls on the inside there, which he's done a couple of times in this stage, but he's redeemed himself there. You can see the 11s which wind their way around the corner to become a bit more like a question mark.
He is indeed the Usain Bolt of hairpins. How's he going to take the tunnel? Looks...
He's the Michael Phelps of tunnels, isn't he? Unbelievable job. Fantastic. So that was just great to see. And Mono, with the aggression that he's taking, if he can stop hitting the wall, he'll be right up there, I should expect.
Yeah, he's done some beautiful things that time. The Michael Phelps of tunnels and the Usain Bolt of hairpins. If only he was, the Kathy Freeman of, straight fast bits, then he'd be doing all right. As we got Nether starting his stage at the bottom right there, so he was, God, Mono's it's just gone.
Yeah, he's trying to get down the back straight. I don't know if he looks a winner, but Nether 16 seconds in. We'll rejoin him soon because Mono's not far away from the end of the stage, coming down to the last corner, around the final one. Oh my goodness! 1/10 of a second! Oh, he'll be ruining all of those brushes with the wall. More brushes than Bob Ross's art kit. And that unfortunately has cost him. And, Desamaj was aggressive, Mono was aggressive, but probably slightly too mistake-riddled. And regardless, you have to say that aggressive is the tack that you need to take into this stage.
Yeah, you can imagine. Can you imagine how fast they would have been if they hadn't had those few moments where they came unstuck? Nether a very considered driver, much less aggressive, more just keeps his head in the game. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes out against them. He's coming up to the sector split now. Looks like it's going to be close. He's actually ahead of Desamaj in the first sector by 3/100 of a 3/10.
This is tight. This is tight like a tiger. Or tight, I should say. Nether, his considered approach that you spoke of, he hasn't made mistakes. Now, this will be a proper comparison between the measured approach and the aggressive approach. Which is the better one?
It will be. I think the aggressive approach is I take my hat off to those of them like Desamaj and Mono who use that approach. But
and that is the brave of you, because you get sunburned easily, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm risking leukemia to.
Excuse me?
I'm risking melanoma to take my hat off for the people that do.
The sun
aggressive
is so
approach.
dangerous here that you can get a blood disease from the from the sunburn as Zero starts his stage.
That's Australia for you, ladies and gentlemen. The sun's bad enough that it can give you.
We're in Monaco, aren't we? No, we're not commentating this from Australia. Perish the thought. Nether's coming to the end of the stint now, so let's see if he's managed to get one over old Decimage and Mono.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be mighty close. He's got it. He's got it by 2 seconds almost. 1.87, and Nether goes to the top. Measured is the approach that you need to take. Now, Nether continuing his form from the first stage. Great job. What does Xerus have in response, though?
Exactly. Xerus is one of those people that he never looks like he's in a hurry, but somehow he is. I don't know how to describe it. He's always never looks out of control, never looks hairy, never looks well, except when he had his long hair for that period of time. But
yes.
yeah, but never looks like he's out of control of the car. He's never flicking the back out around the corners like a Mono or a Decimage. But the times just seem to come to him. He just holds momentum like nothing else. It's incredible to behold.
2 kilometre split coming up, and we wait to see. He is in second by the smallest of margins. Stick a cigarette paper in between them because that's all that covers the top 2. And Decimage within a second as well. So that is remarkably close.
Yeah, it's just, as we keep saying, short stage, so there's not many places you can gain time over your competitors around here. So it's more about just being consistent, trying to keep out of trouble, and, well, I guess, as obvious as it may be, trying to be incredibly fast.
It is a glorious stage from him so far. I mean, you mentioned smooth before. This is as smooth as freshly ironed Egyptian cotton bed sheets with a fairly high thread count, I would imagine. And Xerus, this is going to be, I reckon, the telling factor because this part of the stage requires just absolute commitment.
It does.
You can't afford a mistake. It costs so much time.
It does, yeah. You gotta know when you turn in and know when to lift a little bit, lose a little bit of time on your corners, but in trade-off for that, you manage to save a lot more time in momentum holding. So,
and it comes across the line, and only a second in it, not even 3/4. 0.7 the difference between Nether and Xerus. That was mighty close. Nether must be thinking, what on earth do I have to do to get this win? But he's getting ever closer. I think, he's knocking on the door.
Absolutely.
That door will be answered one way or another in the near future.
Yeah, Xerus will be standing there in his underwear going, mate, what are you doing here? But regardless, I think that is about the closest Xerus has ever been pushed, with 0.7 of a second, back down to Decimage just under 2 seconds, so good effort from him. And Mono, 1 solitary tenth down on Decimage, so he will be gutted, Stairs.
A top 5 there within 5 seconds. That still has to be commended. The field is closer than we've ever seen it.
Absolutely. Keeno with his first showing for Stairs Keeno Racing, 5.45 seconds down. Securitron down in 7th, and Yorgs in 8th, which will be bitterly disappointing for him in his competition with Securitron. And Goofball Antics, 34 seconds down, which it must be said is better than the 79 seconds he was down.
Yeah,
in the first stage.
he hasn't hemorrhaged time the way he has, like a leukemia patient would if they had a significant injury that caused bleeding. This is the standings at the end of that stage, and Nether very much in the running for outright victory in this Monaco live stage event that we are having. 5 seconds. Xerus just needs 1 trip up, and Nether could potentially take over that, and Mono not too far away either.
Yes, and in 4th place, we've got Madbird, 2.5 seconds down on Mono, so a few little mistakes for Mono in the 3rd stage, and Mono will be looking at a 3rd position finish, Stairs.
But eager to deny them that will be Keeno, just 0.7 of a second separating 4th and 5th place there, so that is a rivalry to watch in the final stage of this event.
Yeah, definitely. Madbird just jumping him in that stage, so very close between the two of them. Decimage jumping Yorgs for 6th place, just ahead of him by, well, I say just, by about 5.4 seconds. Yorgs with a very messy second stage, unfortunately for him, as he's falling back towards Securitron in 8th place. 3.7 seconds down on Yorgs.
Oh, another one to watch. And unlike a leukemia patient, Goofball Antics has managed to stem the flow of blood and hemorrhage less time than he did in the first stage. So good on him. And we'll join you in the next stage, coming to you from Col de Turini, Madbird.
Absolutely, the Col de Turini descent. All 3 stages being descents, so I'm sure everyone's really enjoying going downhill. That's us from Monaco for now.
Wrapped up in a neat little package. My name's Stairs.
I'm Madbird.
Thank you very much indeed for watching. Bye
Absolutely.
for now.
Bye.